Hey, want a banana? Okay, well, we just gave Bambi, she's a little Nubian boar mixed goat, just gave her a banana. But so yeah, today we're talking about goats. This is Gavin Power Powerhouse Exotics. Got a little bit of a sore throat today, so I'm not going to be as loud or as talkative. And today, I'm here to give you guys a complete goat care guide. First of all, they're all coming. They're all coming. They're all here. Just took off a couple of them the other day to go be weaned. So we're missing a couple. That's the last mama with a baby on her right now. She's got a banana. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when starting out with goats is decide what you want to do with goats. Megan, shut up. Shut up, Megan. Anyway, first thing you want to do when starting... Shut up, Megan. Shut up. First thing you want to... Shut up. First thing you want to do when starting out with goats is decide what you want to do with goats. Do you want to raise meat goats? Do you want to raise dairy goats? Do you want to raise goats just for fun? Just have fun goats? Do you want land clearing goats? And from there, you're going to pick out what breed you want. So if you want goats for pets, get something like a Nigerian dwarf. If you want a meat goat, get a Kiko or a boar. If you want a land clearing goat, get a Kiko or a Spanish, aka a Breyer goat. Some people call them Breyer goats, some people call them Spanish goats. You want a dairy goat, get yourself a Nubian, a La Mancha. Kikos also work for dairy goats as well. They're also a dual purpose breed. Meat goats are the option, be Kalahari Reds. They're another good breed. Savannahs are a good breed. You know, even if you want to if you want a pet goat, just produce a little bit of milk for you and your family, Nigerian dwarfs are good options since they are a dual purpose breed. They do really well as pets, and they do really well as dairy goats if you got a good dairy line. So once you've decided what breed you want, of course you're going to have to find a way to keep these things locked up. So you're going to have good fencing. Here we have just some regular basic field fence with a row of barbed wire along the center. That's to keep the goats from scratching them against the fence and bowing it out. As you see, they've already done it. They did that before we had the wire here. And we have a row of barbed wire at the bottom to keep predators out and keep the goats from slipping through the bottom of the gate. Plenty of other fencing options you can use. You can use cattle panels. The cattle panels will be more sturdy, but they're a lot more expensive, but they will probably last you longer than field fencing will. You can get goat-specific fencing, which I actually have on the other enclosure for the goats, the forest enclosure. This is the main first enclosure that we built. I'll go get you a picture of that. Another option will be something like this that's actually made for goats. Let me zoom out a little bit. It's a thinner wire they can't get their heads through, can't get their heads stuck, unlike the field fencing where they can get their heads stuck. It's kind of hard for them to get their hooves up and climb. This brand, it's kind of a cheaper brand. They kind of pushed it off the post so it bows out a little bit, but it is kind of a thicker fencing so it doesn't bow out as much, but the wire rips easier. Like this wire can pop out and break easier. But yeah, this is kind of people's preferred goat wire, but it's a lot more expensive, so I prefer field. A lot of people say field fencing their goats get out of. I haven't had too big issues with it. If your goat gets their head stuck in the field fence, you can always put the stupid stick on them, and if you don't know what the stupid stick is, put a picture of it right there. It's a random example. It's basically just a stick that you put on their horns to prevent their horns from getting through the fence, and the main reason they get their head stuck in the fence is because their horns can't get back out, because the horns get bigger at the top. As they go up, they get wider, so when they put their head through, it's easy. When they pull it back out, the horns get stuck. So you put the stupid stick on them. But yeah, we'll get back to you, finish the rest of this video. There's a little side option about another fencing you could use. Okay, so now that we're back from showing you the other fencing type, the next thing you want to figure out is shelter. So for goats, shelter, it's you can go fancy or you can go non-fancy. What we did here is we took 2 pallets, and we took 2 pallets on each side, 2 pallets on the back pallet right here, wrap some tin around it, and then go in there, get away from the water, get some shade. You can also do something similar to this, where it's just an old trash container. Put some shavings in there, they go in there, get some shade and stuff. Or you could be fancy, you can have a full-on barn, an actual barn with stables and stuff, stalls. But if you're specifically raising meat goats or land clearing goats, if you get a tougher breed, just even something like an old carport or a larger, the dog houses built for like dairy cows. They're like built for younger dairy cows to raise off of. Just something to get them shade, get them out of the water. The goats hate water. It's basically acid to them. Just get them something like that to keep them dry, keep them warm in the wintertime. Throw some straw down for them in the wintertime. Summertime, I don't like to put straw down. Sand, you can throw sand down for the summertime to keep them cool, and they can also kind of nest in it, and it's easy to scoop out the poop. But yeah, of course, you're going to have, before we get on the next category, water. Just give them clean water. If you have a pond, they can go drink pond water. Just make sure there's no bad bacteria or any kind of horrendous like surface algae coming in poisoning the water. You can use buckets of water, you can use troughs of water. We're gonna skip by water for now because it's kind of just obvious. Just make sure they have it all the time. Especially if you can get more drought tolerant breeds, won't drink as much water. So I know Kikos are one, they tolerate drought pretty well. There's a lot of other like breeds developed in the Middle East usually are pretty good. Yeah, after water, of course, you're going to talk about food. Now for goats, food is going to depend entirely on where you live and how your environment is. So for here, this grass, we did not mow it. The goats have kept it mowed. They'll eat the grass. Now, goats can live pretty much entirely off of grass and forage. Now, not just grass. Forage is included, or browse is another term. I call it forage. That would also be small trees, shrubs, things like lesbedizas, which are like taller grasses. Now those goats can they can survive off just that, depending on the breed too. Some breeds won't do as well on it, but I raise mostly Kikos. I have a couple other breeds tossed in here. Kiko mixes really is what I've got. They tolerate and work just fine off grass and browse. Now just grass alone, because they're not really meant to be grazers. They are browsers, so they not just survive on grass, but grass is good for them. Winter time, we give them hay. Now, give them a good quality round bale hay. Put a little fence around it so they can just get their mouths into it to eat. Here's what we did, actually. Well, the hay bale was right here, and whenever the bale was right here, we would wrap a little fence around it. Just a little fence like this, then get their mouth through, nibble on the hay a little bit, get the hay out, without actually jumping onto the hay, tearing it down, peeing and pooping on it. I only give them that in the wintertime, otherwise they're completely on this browse. We're actually gonna let the goats out into the neighbor's field for a minute because they said they want their grass cut down. And the goats, they haven't eaten really down, recording this like right as the sun's starting to get bright. So it's about noon, and they need to come out and eat some of this bigger grass in the front yard and in the neighbor's yard. So yeah, diet. You can also give them pellets. Now you can go expensive route and get fancy goat made pellets or something like that. But I just go for cheap all stock is what you can get away with. Mix your own. You can mix your own. There's a lot of good videos in there how to mix your own pellets. Another thing for goats would be supplementation. Now, supplementing, you're going to want to give them a loose mineral. You can also do mineral blocks or goat-specific mineral blocks. Although they can't really get as many minerals as they want out of the blocks, but they're good to have just around for just enrichment. Let them play with them. But loose minerals are important, like a bag like this. This is the brand I use. Also set out a little tub of baking soda. Put these in their shelter so they don't get rained on and get all dirty or wet and they don't get ruined. So yeah, give them baking soda. That helps with their rumen pH. If they feel a little bit bloated, they can go eat some. Some people say it's a wives' tale, but I mean, I've seen it work a lot, and a lot of people who I know who do use it don't have issues with bloat as much. So I'm going to just go ahead and say it works. It doesn't hurt to give it to them. If anything, it won't hurt. It's cheap. It's not going to affect you much at all. Finally, we're going to go on to the hardest part about owning goats, and that is going to be constant sicknesses they get. They get sick all the time, more or less. They can get more sick depending on your breed. They can get less sick depending on your breed. Like I like Kikos because they're more parasite. They're more parasite resistant. This is a Kiko cross. That's a Kiko boar mix. Some of those Nigerian dwarfs and pygmies. That's a boar Kiko. That's a boar Nubian. I don't know what he is. I don't have a clue what he is. He's just a random. That's not even my rooster. I don't know where he came from. We got a little pile of trash over there. That's because the neighbor's dogs tore up our trash cans, and we had a bad windstorm. It all kind of blew up against the fence. So we raked it up. We're gonna have to clean that up later. So yeah, just keep bear with me a little bit. That trash is not normally there. We're having to clean that up. Yeah. So medications, you're gonna want a dewormer such as this. Cydectin is what we use, but you're also gonna want to use another type of worm. We're gonna want to have 2 wormers, so you can do dual worming. We might do another video on that. We're not gonna go too far into it. Get another wormer such as Safeguard or Panicure. I'm putting a picture of them up right there. You're also gonna want some sort of walk over here so you can see the goats. Hey Laverne, this little pygmy cross we have. You're gonna want some sort of antibiotic. I don't know, is it an antibiotic? Something like penicillin or LA200 or Tylen 50, something like that. I got a picture of it right there. Something similar to that's what you're gonna want to use. Hey Leonard. But yeah, you're gonna want to use something similar to that for goats. Yeah, that's really for medication wise. You also there's a lot of other random stuff that can pop up. You might want your CDT vaccines, which you give them yearly. That helps them with. I just give it to them. I forgot exactly what it does. You can also give them copper supplements, what they usually need. Now, if you have sheep with your goats, you're going to want to give them a more sheep or all stock specific mineral. and give your goats either a copper bolus like this or a copper injection. Now the copper bolus is a little pill. You put it in a little pill gun, put it in the back of the throat, shoot it down, and from there on the copper slowly releases into their gut and gives them the copper they need. And the injection does the same thing, slowly releases the copper they need. We're actually taking them over here. They're kind of following me. They know they're going to go get out and go eat, so they're following me down here. See, the grass is kind of tall over there. The neighbors are there getting grass is getting tall. The neighbors cut their grass. They should stay out there. They're going to walk into their yard, which they don't mind them being over there. They're going to walk into that yard, eat the grass down a little bit, and they're going to realize, hey, that grass over there sucks. They already cut it, and they're going to come over here. So that's kind of what they do. Let them out. Oh, we'll let them out here in a minute. I got to take a picture with them in a second for the thumbnail. Hey, baby. But yeah, medication-wise, the goats is very much going to depend on what breed you have. Like I know, I started out with a lot of boar goats. Almost all of them died within a year. I won't really. I have one purebred boar here, and that's Megan, because she's the only one that lived. So hey, Megan, only one that lived. Also, another thing with goats you're gonna notice is their sides seem sunk in. Now, a goat will look like that in the morning time. By the end of the day, they'll look like they're pregnant. Like even Pedro, he'll look like he's pregnant. He's a male, and he will look huge in about 2 hours of eating. Goats do that is because they poop so much, which is good for the grass. They poop so much though that they that when they poop, so it's just that their metabolism so high or so fast, everything is getting pushed out of them immediately. So they need to constantly be eating. So within just like a couple hours of not eating, they can go from fat to rail thin. So that's just goats for you. Another issue you have with goats is you have predators. Predators is something I'm going to bring up. Now you can prevent predators by using electric fencing, which is another good option to keep goats in. Go to the highest setting you can possibly get with electric fence. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to hurt them. No, you want them to get shocked once or twice. It hurt them really bad. Not enough to kill them, just hurt them, shock them, and that way they just don't want to rub up against the fence or fight the fence again. But also it stops predators. So if a random dog decides he wants to try to slip through your fence and kill your goats, he's going to get shocked and he's not coming back. The main predators you're going to run into are dogs. Just domestic dogs, people let their dogs roam free, stray dogs. Coyotes are really bad. Black vultures are surprisingly pretty bad if you have younger goats, kids, weaker does. If they're like letting down, having labor, then the vultures can come and actually rip their eyes out and kill them. Of course you get bobcats, mountain lions, bears, depending on where you live. Wolves are bad, but the main way to prevent them would be with a livestock guardian animal. Now most of the time you're going to want to use a livestock guardian dog like a Great Pyrenees, American Camper, Anatolian Shepherd, Merino, I think it's Merino dog. I don't know. Look a lot like Pyrenees is what I know. Some people use a donkey, but donkeys can actually kill and injure your goats just for no reason, just because donkeys have an attitude problem. You can actually prevent this also if you just want a donkey as well. Put a fence around your goat fence. Have the donkey in that outer fence, so that way they're not interacting fully. That can work. Llamas, they can work. Some people don't agree with llamas, but if you live in an area like mine where you're really not dealing with anything bigger than a domesticated dog, then I feel like a llama does the job just fine. Right now we don't have anything, but that's because we haven't really had a predator issue yet. All the neighbors' properties surrounding our woods have larger dogs that don't bother the goats, and those usually keep the coyotes away. I haven't even seen a coyote near my house in years. We don't hear them too often. I'm worried about random dogs, but for the meantime, I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, so we're gonna let these guys out here in a second, and I'll get to you when we do. Okay, everybody, come on. They're all gonna come on. Come on. They're wanting to get the animal crackers. Animal crackers are a good, safe treat to give them. If you need to lure them to do anything, convince them to do anything, animal crackers works. I'm gonna go into the neighbor's yard, but they'll walk around and go into our yard soon. Stewie, come on. That buck just doesn't breed. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know, he's breeding age, but I gave him to my cousin to breed, and he did not bring a single doe. And he was with him for like a solid 6 months. He just did not breed a single one of those does. But there they are right there, free ranging. Neighbor's dog doesn't bother him. He actually kind of, he's a lab. It's kind of weird for a lab to want to guard, but he doesn't bother him. Ever since I got the goats, he just hasn't cared about them. Hadn't bothered the chickens or nothing, so I guess he kind of just does the job for free. Whose rooster is that? I don't know whose rooster that is. That's my hen. He's just been around for like a month. I don't know whose he is. Whenever we get the chicken tractor built, I'm just going to throw him in there with the chickens, because why not? Apparently his owners don't care about him. He's going to live with us now. It's basically my rooster now. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's video. That is the goat care guide. It's sweet and simple. Not really much you can do wrong. There's a lot that can go wrong. There's not a lot you can do wrong care for goats, but the few things that can go wrong, they can go wrong really fast. Goats, usually once they go downhill, sickness-wise, it's really difficult to get them back up. But if you follow the care guide, keep them warm, keep them dry, feed them good, give them the proper minerals, you should minimize your issues. So, like I said, that's all for today, and we'll see you in the next one.